Spike Milligan, in his own words. It Takes All Sorts. Broadcast on BBC Radio, 23rd of January, 1967.
Well, I think, first of all, Mr. Milligan, where exactly were you born?
Well, thank you for the mister for a start. You know, in my street, I'm known as Stop Thief. I was born in Armanagar in India. That's just north of Pune.
Where did the name Spike originate?
It was in the army, actually. I thought the name Spike was like some of these names you get when you call, if your name is Murphy in the army, they call you Spud, and if you're white, you're called Chalky, and if you're Welsh, they call you Taffy. And I thought this name was part of the cult, but it wasn't. In fact, there was a jazz fan in the army called Ken Carter, sort of a tall, thin, handsome sort of lad with cross eyes and eczema. And he was a jazz fan, and he realized that Spike Hughes had played the bass and was called Spike Hughes for that reason, and I used to play the bass, and I got that name for that reason. That's how it got stuck onto me.
Had you always had an ambition to go into show business?
No, I didn't. I came from a very... well, my mother and father, strangely enough, used to do what they call gaffs in the Indian Army. They used to do concerts all over the place, and I was in the wings, believe it or not, in a pram. No, I wanted to be a RAF pilot. And in 1932, I came to England to sit for the exam. And those days, to get into the Air Force, you had to have a body made of gold. And I failed the eyesight test. I couldn't get two red lines together because it was very difficult in those days to get in the Air Force. But then, when I failed in 1938, when they were dead short of pilots, they wrote to me and said, would you like to be an air gunner and get killed free of charge? That's what I wanted to be. But then... So one way or another, I gradually took up music, and I became a musician.
Mm. What was the instrument you played?
First, I played the drums, and they were too big to carry around. So then I bought the bass because it was smaller, but I got fed up with the joke, can you get it under your chin? And it became increasingly funny because the place I used to stop at every Saturday to play was opposite a graveyard, and it had to go on the front of a tram. And as I had to get it off, each chap would say, you're going to bury it, are you? And in the end, I think I did bury it. And I took up the guitar, and then that wasn't loud enough. And then finally I took up the trumpet, which I was best at, I suppose.
When did you start your script writing for BBC?
I know I didn't do anything really significant until about the age of 33. It's remarkable to have started so late in life. And... it was roundabout. I used to work behind a bar in Westminster in London, and the chap who owned the pub, Jimmy Grafton, he was writing at the time odd scripts for a chap called Derek Roy, who was big shakes in those days, and I used to tell one or two jokes, and then bit by bit he said, do you know any jokes? And I said, there's some more jokes, and then I'd run out of the jokes, and he said, well, you do any more? I said, no, I'd make some up, I suppose. So I started to make up jokes for Derek Roy through Jimmy Grafton, and bit by bit I started writing scripts. And then I started to write way out things which were constantly cut from the scripts. And I kept all these things on one side, and nobody ever used them except when I met Peter Sellers. And then he laughed like mad at these jokes. I said, do you think they're funny? He said, yes. I thought that was praise enough at the time, because he was quite a big name in radio when that happened.
Mm. When did the Goon Show begin? Was it as a result of all this?
Yes, it was a combustion of four different personalities, really. In one way or another, I met Seacombe in the army out in Italy, and we used to actually do shows together. When he came back here after his demob, I stayed on in the army because I liked it. And he went to the Windmill Theatre and did a nude audition and told jokes. There he met Michael Bentine, and then I met Peter Sellers, and between us we used to go around and talk to each other and laugh and joke, and bit by bit it all sort of formed itself together into a unit.
It wasn't called the Goons, though, was it, originally?
No, the BBC thought, goons, what's coons? They thought it would be anti-colour to call them coons. I said, no, it's goons. Well, what does goon mean? I said, it doesn't mean anything. Oh, we can't have that in the English language. No, it's in there. They had a meeting of 48,000 people, and they all voted to call it Crazy People. There's silly, crazy people. So it was called Crazy People for a while, you know.
And Spike, how did you actually work on the script for the Goons? I mean, how did the ideas come to you?
Well, I don't know. These are one of the things that's in the hands, the finger of God, I think, touches various people, and I think he was touching me for a laugh. And this came, it just came to me. I used to work very hard on it, mind you. I used to get to the office at 8 in the morning. I was working in a little one room over a greengrocer's in Shepherd's Bush. I used to get at 8 in the morning, and I used to come home at midnight. I used to travel on the tube there and back.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?